just a reminder, Robinson is a Trump endorsed candidate, and Republicans love to get behind a Black Republican whenever and wherever they can. We all remember Herschel Walker, but Trump himself has been quiet for now. His campaign has not commented on whether or not they think he should drop out of his North Carolina race, but they have expressed concerns privately. According to the Carolina Journal, Robinson is under pressure from staff and members of the Trump campaign to withdraw from the governor's race due to the nature of the story, which they say involves activity on adult websites in the 2000s. But Robinson has resisted withdrawing and privately denies the story. I don't need to tell this audience that North Carolina is an important state in the presidential election, but right now the two candidates are neck and neck. Take a look at this. This is from Real Clear Politics, and we see Trump leading Harris by 0.1 percentage point. It's practically nothing. They're basically tied. Robinson does have his defenders, though, people like Greg Kelly and Greg Gutfeld.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
Newsmax's Greg Kelly. He defended Mark Robinson after Bombshell reporting. He said, "Sir, remain strong." Kelly said, "It is phony. It is a phony baloney scandal." That's fun. "It's a fake news story about some internet activity he may or may not have had on a pornography site 10 years ago." Like, that's going to shock anybody really in this day and age. It's not. And Gutfeld made a joke about how it's not nice to kink shame people before defending Trump for elevating this guy. Greg Gutfeld defended Mark Robinson amid reports that he called himself a Black Nazi and spied on women in public gyms. Gutfeld said, "How dare you kink shame?" That's not kink shaming. That is sexual harassment. During an exchange with Fox co-host Jessica Tarlov, Gutfeld said to her, "Let's state the obvious here. Do you think Trump actually knew this guy was on porn sites?" Tarlov said, "My point is that Donald Trump likes anyone who likes him, and he doesn't bother to do the work." And Gutfeld said, "That is called being human." Wow. But the best reaction came from Jesse Waters, who instead of denying the allegations, he went a step further, pretending he doesn't even know who Robinson is. This is like just beyond denialism. When Tarlov said Robinson's name, Waters interrupted her and said, "Never heard of him." Of course, he has heard of him. He wouldn't be very good at his job, first of all, if he hadn't heard of him. In fact, there is proof that he's heard of him because here he is interviewing him on Fox News. Brett, do you agree with Greg Kelly that people are not going to care about some racist, kinky stuff that a Black Republican gubernatorial candidate said on a porn website 10 years ago? That sentence alone is insane. But they're trying to play it off as sex shaming, which is funny coming from them. But what about the part when he said he wanted to own slaves? Like, what about that part?
Well, I feel like they're trying to play this game where, like, listen, I can say I own slaves because I am of the same race as the slaves, the same way I can make Jewish jokes because I'm Jewish. Like, I think he's trying to play that off. Like, him saying he's a Black Nazi is more indicative of like how ridiculous the right has become. But that is like the I think we should bring back slavery. I don't think he meant. I think he's just the worst human being on the planet, and people lately are just doing Trump impressions. He just seemed to be ahead of the game, having said this a long time ago. I think we have enough in the, like, in how in math you can like have an equal sign in the middle and two fractions on the two different sides, and then just cancel out things that are the same on both sides of the equal sign. Like Mark Robbins, like for the Trump campaign to say, "Hey, buddy, you reportedly want to force him out of running for office," it is like such the biggest hypocrisy, because if Trump's on this side of the equal sign and Robinson's on the other side of the equal sign, like everything cancels out. Everything Robinson might be in trouble for is stuff Trump himself has said. Like what? Weird sexual proclivities? Like Trump's done worse. He's been found like, civilly liable for damages in sexual assault, right? Trump has said, like, peeping Tom when you're 14. Trump did horrible things like grab him by the P word when he was a grown ass man and adult. The difference is, like, I guess the level of celebrity that Robinson has, the race of Robinson, and the fact that Trump is the one trying to call the shots, and he doesn't think that there's anything wrong necessarily with just saying with doing all of this stuff. And I'm not going to kink shame either. I'm like, go for it, buddy. Whatever floats your boat. I don't care. But I think Trump just is like, you could hurt me in North Carolina. And if I'm fighting for North Carolina after having lost like by 40 electoral votes or whatever last time, and I still won North Carolina, like I don't want to be in that kind of trouble thanks to like folks who aren't even enthusiastic about voting for governor.
Yeah, the Republicans are caught in a very strange position. I'm not feeling sorry for them for the record because they put themselves where they are today. But it's like what you said, they can't really get on to anything that Robinson has said or is saying, because that would mean they would have to acknowledge that the things that Trump has said and done in the past and continues to say and do are also bad, right? It can't be okay for this guy to do it and not okay for that guy to do it at the same time. And then on top of that, there is the overall Republican strategy of it all, right? How is this guy going to make them look on the national scale? We have this huge election coming up in November, which is not very far away. It's just a few weeks away, really. And all this stuff coming out, this is a Trump endorsed and Trump backed candidate. Trump said all over, this guy is great. He said that he's hot. He said that he like Nicky Jam. He's very hot, like Nicky Jam. And he also said that he's akin to Martin Luther King, which I guess he thinks is a good guy, even though like nothing he says resembles that. But we know that that's kind of the game with Trump. And Republicans overall are caught in a position with not just with Robinson, but with several other candidates and other Republican figures who we are going to talk about later in the show. They're caught in a position where they're saying things that are actually alienating Republicans from voters that they need to capture going into November. So they like the exclusivity. They like not being inclusive. This is what you get. You have less voters. You can't say we're not racist and then say racist things and then hope that people of color and minority groups are still going to vote for you. So any final thoughts before we get a break, Brett?
I just love that this was a story. This is one of the kind of stories that people tell you about before you actually read it. Like you just kind of see it percolating and you can't believe that it's actually real.
When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?